Hi everyone, I'm Zayana and today I'm going to be introducing my essay topic, which is pointillism. Pointillism is a really interesting painting technique that looks simple from far away, but is actually very detailed and complex when you look up close. Pointillism is all about using very small individual dots of color to build an entire picture. Nothing is blended on the palette, the blending happens in your brain. I chose this topic because I think it's cool how artists can take something as small as a dot and turn it into a fully detailed scene. It shows how much patience and planning goes into artwork. In this presentation, I'm going to explain what pointillism is, how it works, where it came from, as well as who the major artists were, and why this technique is still important in art today. By the end of my presentation, you'll see how this technique connects art, science, and even modern technology. Pointillism is a painting technique made up of tiny dots of pure color. Instead of using brush strokes to blend paint, the artist carefully places colors next to each other. When you stand close to a pointillist painting, all you see are the dots, and it almost looks like a pattern or a texture instead of a finished image. When you step back, something really cool happens. Your eyes mix the colors for you. This is called optical mixing, and it makes the artwork look like it's filled with blended tones even though nothing was actually blended. Pointillism relies on color theory, like how complementary colors make each other pop when placed side by side, and how warm and cool colors affect the mood of painting. This technique takes a lot of patience because the artist has to think about every single dot. They can't just wipe a brush across the canvas to make a shadow. They have to slowly build it dot by dot. Even though it's slow, the result is really bright and vibrant because the colors stay pure instead of getting muddy. Pointillism started around the 1880s during the Post-Impressionist movement. This was a time when artists were experimenting with new techniques and new ways of showing light and color. The technique was created by Georges Seurat, who was very interested in science, especially optics and how the human eye sees color. Seurat wanted painting to become more scientific and structured. He believed that if artists used color in a more controlled way, they would make paintings that looked more vibrant and consistent. His idea was that the small dots of pure color placed next to each other would blend in the viewer's eye automatically. This was very different from traditional painting. Another major artist was Paul Signac. After Seurat died at a young age, Signac continued to develop and spread the pointillist style. These artists were pushing against traditional art standards. Their work helped shape the direction of modern art and inspired future movements like Fauvism and Divisionism. The most famous pointillist painting is probably A Sunday Afternoon on the Island of La Grande Jatte by Seurat. This painting is huge and it took about 2 years to finish. If you look at it up close, it's just thousands of tiny dots. But from afar, it shows people relaxing in a park by the river, and it has this calm, timeless feeling. Another well-known work by Seurat is The Circus, which uses dots to show movement, bright lights, and the energy of the performers. Paul Signac also created many important pointillist paintings. One famous example is the Papal Palace, Avignon, which uses bright, bold colors to capture light and atmosphere. What's impressive about these works is how much detail the artist can show using only dots. Things like shadows, reflections on water, trees, clothing, and even facial expressions. Seeing pointillist paintings in person is even more amazing because you can walk close and see all the dots, then step back and watch the picture suddenly appear. Pointillism is important because it changed the way artists think about color. It proved that color doesn't have to be mixed on a palette, our eyes can do the work. This idea influenced many art movements after it and is still used today, especially in digital art. When you think about it, pixels on a screen are a lot like dots in a painting. Design, animation, and printing technologies are based on similar concepts, placing tiny points of color close together to create a complete image. Pointillism also showed how closely connected art and science can be. It wasn't just about creativity, it was about understanding how light and color interact. Modern artists still use techniques inspired by pointillism, and some even recreate it digitally or with mixed media. So even though pointillism started over 100 years ago, it still has a big influence on how we understand and create art today. Thank you.